What's going on? I'm in my room? This is my house? Oh no, I have a bad feeling. A familiar ceiling. The smell of the bed and pillows. I knew them well. Was this my room? Normally these wouldn't be anyone in my there wouldn't be anyone in my room besides me, but their presence made me swing right awake. When I did that, the pain shot through my entire body. Feeling alright? I think you'd better just lie down for a bit. Why was Rena in my room? Blood began to surge through my muscles and my capillaries. But Rena's smile belonged to the Rena I knew well. I knew I shouldn't let myself feel this way, but I relaxed seeing this version of Rena was safe. Why am I... Don't you remember? After losing consciousness, nothing at all. My body had become more lethargic than I could have ever imagined. I guess that would be expected outcome after exerting everything I had back there. I tried to at least clear my head, but I just couldn't shake the sluggish feeling out of my mind. Where's the other person apparently we sensed? I called the doctor. He should be here soon. I think you'd better just lie down until then. I wasn't injured seriously enough to merit calling a doctor. But I know that something impartial was coming. Was slightly reassuring. Why am I here? I'm sure I was at the dam site. That was what I want to know. What happened? When I got there, Keiichi-kun was already passed out. That's why I'm the one who wants to know. I was attacked by two weirdos. Oh god. As I talked about it, I finally remembered what happened right before I passed out. Recalling the memory and the terror that went along with it caused the fogginess around my head to clear right up. Let's forget about those two for now. I didn't expect Rena to be nursing me. I thought Rena was trying to kill me. She would have had the perfect chance while I was unconscious. Not only did she not kill me, she had nursed me back to health. Amazing you could drag me all the way back here. Wasn't I heavy? Looking at Rena's delicate frame, it was hard to believe that she had not only gotten me back home, but even dragged me all the way up to the second floor. Did she have someone help? Don't you remember, Keiichi-kun? Rena appeared a bit surprised, but kept her smile. I only propped you up on my shoulder. You said you could walk on your own and that you were fine. You don't remember? I didn't remember. My memory was fuzzy after the point where I lost consciousness. What about those two? Huh? When you got there, Rena, the ones with me, or rather those two guys. There wasn't anyone. She said it bluntly. The way she stated it felt slightly unpleasant. I was just too timid at the time. I might have been able to force some answers out of Rena. But if I did that, then this kind Rena might transform into the scary Rena who I didn't know. Fearing that, I didn't press any further. Thinking about it, it was the obvious choice. If both of those men were there, I don't think Rena would have even stood a chance. I couldn't find a way to explain it unless I assumed she brought me here after those two were already gone. Rena was still smiling. Her eyes sparkled warmly. Yet. I felt like I was hallucinating when I saw something akin to a shadow slowly creeping across her face. That small omen sent shivers down my spine. I'm dead, dude. She's gonna kill us. When Rena was still Rena, I needed to make contact. I needed to contact Oishi-san. Rena stopped me when I tried to get out of bed. She said it would aggravate my wounds, so I should sleep. I'd like to go to the bathroom, please, though. Sorry. Rena couldn't say anything else. While Rena stayed in the room, I quickly went downstairs to get the phone receiver in the living room. That's fucking me on. Calling it. When I approached the front door, the doorbell rang. Ding dong. It must have been the doctor Rena had called. It was strange for a patient to welcome in the doctor who was making a house call. But it would be incredibly reassuring to have him here for the considerable time it would take Oishi-san to get here. I carelessly opened the door with that simple assumption and regretted it almost instantly. Obviously. But, Mion! Oh, you look just fine. I heard you collapsed, so I came to check up on you. How did you know I collapsed? I heard it from Rena over the phone. Do I need any reason other than that? I understood why she would call a doctor. But why me on too? Rena was ascending the stairs behind me. Rena, doesn't Kei-chan look pretty alright? She made me worry for nothing. That's true. Maybe I worried for nothing as well. They both began laughing. It appeared to be cheerful laughter, but I couldn't... Whoa. Whoops. I'm gonna roll up. It appeared to be cheerful laughter, but I couldn't shake the feeling that there was a darkness looming over them. Whoa, what's up with the shoe rack? Oh, fucking... I keep picking up the log by accident. How'd it get like this? The shoe rack that I'd smashed into pieces had been like that since yesterday. I fell, you see. And the bat I was holding at the time slammed into it. This is what happens when you swing around something you're not supposed to be... You're not used to handling. I kept the fact that it was none of her business to myself. But leaving it like this will really startle your parents when they get home. I'll fix it up for you later. Come on, Kei-chan. The terminally ill need their rest. Come on, back in bed. Send them home, Keiichi! Both of them urged me up the stairs. Oh, you fucking idiot. I had no chance to call Oishi-san. I was pushed into my bed, and it was the first time Mion had been in my room. She began searching around it intently. She fiddled around my room and was scolded by Rana. You can imagine how it went. It was uncomfortable having my room poked around, but the conversation was so benign that it was heartwarming. During that innocent conversation, Mion said something as though it was perfectly ordinary. Rena, did you call the manager? Yup. Right after I called Michan. He said he'd be right over. Manager? That out-of-place word gave me a bad feeling. Rena called a doctor. Then called Mion. And after that, she called a manager? Who was this manager? Since Rena and Mion conversation was so peaceful, it only felt slightly odd. What are you two talking about? Who is this manager? Didn't you know, Kei-chan? We mean the manager when we say manager. Like the director of a movie. Or like a foreman of a construction site. I dug through all of the memories for a manager who might have business with me. Only one thing came to mind. What Rena had just said. The construction site foreman. The very first victim of the first incident. The dismemberment of the damn construction site. The foreman? But that was strange. He was supposed to be dead. There was no way they could call him. I don't understand what you guys are talking about. What does the manager have to do with me? You said he was coming. Did you mean to my house? I asked one obvious question after another. But all the two of them did was smile coolly at each other. There was a huge difference between how the two of them appeared and how my suspicions were playing out. Slowly, I felt discomfort and panic welling up inside me. I couldn't understand what Rena and Mion were talking about. Kei-chan, you've gotten into baseball lately, haven't you? Pretty sure the manager will be happy to hear that. So who is this manager? The manager is the manager! Oh my god. So who is this manager? We're dead. We're fucking dead. Rena and Mion looked at each other and laughed haughtily. The disturbed cackle unpleasantly resounded around me. Oh no. The laugh long enough to be unsettling ended abruptly. Oh yeah. We should finish up before the manager comes. You remember, don't you, Kei-chan? Her face is laughing, but Mion's eyes told a different story. Remember what? Keiichi had he forgotten, I wonder? About the penalty? About the penalty? Did you really forget? The homework with the mochi? The homework where you were supposed to guess which one Rena made? You forgot about that homework, didn't you? I certainly did have that homework. But I had thrown away the rest of the mochi after I found that sewing needle. So I wasn't able to answer which one was Rena made. The penalty for that? Why now? No doubt my question was written all over my face. Their answer to my question was that dry laughter. I could no longer make head or tails of anything. I began to think that this entire day was somehow insane. Strange. Incomprehensible. Being chased by Rena. Attacked by strange men. The penalty Mion and Rena was talking about. What were those two laughing at? It didn't take that long for me to realize I had been dragged into an abnormal situation. Who were these two? Who were these people? Who were these doppelgangers of Rena and Mion? Rena had gotten behind me at some point. Oh, shit. Why was she pinning my arms behind my back? What are you doing? Don't move. This was your penalty. Ha 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 ha. My body was very sluggish, and Rena pinning my arms made it that much harder to move. I surely tried to struggle, but she wouldn't even budge. My panic began to well up, and realized this was well beyond realms of jokes and pleasantries. The freakishly monstrous strength, it would have been impossible for the Rena I knew. These thin, frail arms began grasping me firmly. Whose arms were they? Kei-chan, no struggling. Club rules, there are no exceptions. You can't fight against the penalty. Mion, no. That thing that looked like Mion spoke to me like how Mion would speak to me. But I was certain that this was not Mion. Someone who wasn't Mion. Someone who was just pretending to be Mion. Need to finish this up before the manager comes. Mion fished in her pocket and pulled out something bizarre. I could tell what it was just by looking, but for such a thing to be in her pocket, my mind wouldn't accept it. What is that? It was a small syringe. It was a small, clear syringe, like what a doctor would use when you went to him when you were sick. Rena held me even tighter, and I could hear that clattering laughter that no longer sounded like laughter blaring into my ear. That eerie laughter, it wasn't something that the Rena I knew could even produce from her throat. This thing was pretending to be Rena. Was this their real laugh? Unable to defend myself, the syringe Mion was holding, drew closer. And that needle tip was waved right in front of my face countless times. Don't worry, don't worry. It won't hurt, it won't hurt. Hehehehe. What are you planning on doing? What kind of sick joke is this? What are you saying, Kei-chan? You know exactly what's going on, don't you? About what? I don't understand any of this at all! I know you know. No use playing playing the fool this late in the game. Stop talking nonsense and try and confuse me! You're going to have done to you what happened to Tomitake-san. What? The same as Tomitake-san? I didn't really understand what she meant. What did that have to do with the syringe? You're playing dumb, Keiichi-kun. You should have realized it by now. Rena whispered into my ear, laughing as if to admonish me. But even the way she spoke was repulsive beyond compare. Playing dumb? Me? About what? What do you mean the same as Tomitake-san? Everyone thought at first that it was a hit and run. Except that the officer got closer to check if he was still alive. He soon noticed it wasn't a normal situation. His throat was scratched out. From a knife or something? No. Nails. Nails? Nails as in fingernails? With those gouged through? That's right. Tomitake-san had clawed his own throat with his own nails and died. There's no way someone could die like that! So then for that to happen, We thought drugs were to blame, but nothing of that nature was detected. That's right. The police didn't find any drugs in Tomitaki-san's system. The police told me they didn't find any drugs in Tomitaki-san's body. The two of them laughed together with that sickening laugh. Of course they'd laugh. To assume that such a medicine didn't exist because the police didn't know about it was completely foolish. Meaning the drug that caused Tomitaki-san to die in such a bizarre manner did exist. If Mion injected into me, then that would probably be all the proof I needed. That would basically mean that if I ended up the same as Tomitaki-san, become hysterical, scratching out my tooth and my throat in my last moments, then die. For such an outrageous drug to exist. For Mion to be holding it. And that I was about to be injected with it. At that moment, I did not feel like there was any need whatsoever to question it. What kind of an idiot, when he's trying to dodge the ball straight for his face, has time to think of a reason as to why it's flying at him? Just give up. Alright then. Mion's actions lacked any gravitas, and that made it even more terrifying. There was none of the ceremony like someone is sentenced to death. But there was no hesitation at all, as if she were brushing her teeth. Mion reached out with one hand and grabbed into my chest. It felt like electricity had run through the back of my head, and the entire world had gone dark. Did I stand up too fast? Or did someone hit me really hard in the back of my head? Having lost my sense of balance, I was assaulted by the wave of dizziness. Higurashi no naku koro ni. I wonder what's left. Is this going to be end chapter? No, it's not. I squatted down for a bit. When I came to my senses, my entire room had changed drastically. What? Is that blood? The numbness in my head was gone, and slowly I could tell blood was flowing from my extremities inside. How long had I been squatted here? How many minutes? Or has it been hours? It was almost as if the hands on the clock had stopped moving the entire time my eyes were closed. That's how little time passed. Really? In the air in the room wasn't filled with that madness from before, only a dull silence. Rena wasn't there pinning my arms, and Mion wasn't there to inject me with a needle. No way. Could it be? All of it? Was it hallucination? There was no other presence in the room besides my own. It was the weirdest experience I've ever had. I was certainly with Rena and Mion. I doubted my sanity for a moment, but I was also seized with some sort of comfort. I guess that terrible ordeal was a hallucination. Neither Rena nor Mion, they would never do something so terrible. My head grew hot. I could tell my emotions were welling up. Why? That wasn't a reason to cry. Why? It was sorrow. Why was I sad? I don't understand. I don't understand. Kind to everyone, not discriminating against age or gender. Mion. That Mion was sprawled by the window in an unnatural pose. Blood stained her deep red from her head down to her chest. Mion's dead? The bright crimson smeared on the walls. That splatter had undoubtedly came from Mion. She always had the bright smile and was kind to me from the day I transferred. Rena. The same Rena was slumped at my feet and was making the same pool of blood as Mion. Rena's dead too? We fucking killed them? The drug they put in me made me so insane that I killed them? And the reason that when Tomitake-san, when he got the drug, he went crazy, clawed himself out, and he died. But they were in a very more open area, so she could get away, the woman. If like, since I'm assuming at this point that is either that woman or these two that put the drug in them, they were able to get away. But me, Rena was holding on to me. Mion was in the same room, and the door was closed. There was just the two of us, the three of us. Not much room for them to get away. We fucking killed them. I couldn't comprehend what had happened. Did someone come to save me? Then would they beat these two down with this metal bat? I finally noticed the weight in my right hand. How long had it been there? It was Satoshi's metal bat. It was covered in deep red. There was no doubt that this was the weapon used to mutilate both of them. And I was holding that weapon. I was the only person in the house. What? Looking at this objectively, I couldn't think of anyone other than myself who could have done it. I did this? That's right. Keiichi Maebara. Of course I did it. I told myself gently, as if coaxing myself. Hey, me. There is no reason for you to remember it, nor is there a reason to regret it. Eat or be eaten. You get that, don't you? But the blood, there's so much. Neither Rena nor Mion had moved an inch. It wasn't just a split forehead and a trickle of blood, nothing that simple. The entire room was splattered with red, and that told me it didn't end up with just 2 or 3 strikes. Were they dead? Both of them? The depths of my mind were calm, but on the surface, I was panicked and agitated. Calm down, Keiichi Maebara. What happened to your usual calm self? Come now. Come on. Do like you always do. Throw your head back and take a deep breath. Come on. Once. Twice. Breathe deeply. Calm down. Calm down. I chanted that over in my head and relaxed. Whoa, I didn't mean to do that. Color came back to my vision and smells reinfused the air. At that time, I remember what happened when I blacked out. Oh, we're gonna see what happened? Rena and Mion had attacked me. They were about to inject me with whatever caused the same symptoms as Tomitake-san. But right before that happened, I fought back. What? I twisted my whole body and threw Rena as she was pinning my arms. Then I followed through with my spin and ran my foot as hard as I could into Mion's torso. It was soft. Rena tried jumping on me, so I tackled her as hard as I could and slammed her against the wall. I didn't let that brief moment of having them off balance slip by. Satoshi's bat was left carelessly on the side of my desk. Wait. At that moment, everything went pitch black. There was nothing recorded past this point in the videotape in my mind. No, that wasn't right. It wasn't that there was nothing recorded. It was recorded just fine. Just the other me inside myself had told me not to look and had turned off the TV. Just because the screen had gone black and I couldn't see it, didn't mean that videotape within me hadn't recorded it. The TV was just off. The video was still playing. The tape within me creaking along, still playing. On the other end of that pitch black screen, that horrifying video was still playing on. Compared to this, though, the scene before my eyes was still so difficult to take in. There was blood splattered everywhere on the walls, the two of them in these unnatural poses, not a sign of movement from them. I couldn't even tell if they were breathing. No matter what the circumstances were, my friends, these girls, I had attacked them. I may have even killed them. But if I hadn't done this, I would have been the one who was done for. Man, this is weird. So we didn't end up taking the drug? Or did we? Balancing that out in an imaginary scale, it felt odd that I'd even feel bad about it. Even if it was a bit excessive, this was justifiable self-defense. The proof was all here. The two of them collapsing here and me on syringe filled with some unknown drug would certainly solve the mystery surrounding the incident with Tomitaki-san. And from the fact both of these two were involved, they were able to pick out the criminals one after the other. Still, I might be suspected for this. But that was just fine. Anyway, now this should be a police affair. This wouldn't fade into the darkness like Rena's past incidents. As long as the police are involved, that should bring this to a close. They'd probably revisit their investigations on the plane of incidents. Oishi-san would definitely get to the bottom of it. Meaning my wish of not wanting to die. Of wanting to know the truth, that would be fulfilling its most basic form. It was all a matter of time now. The doctor Rena called should be getting here soon. I'll confess everything to him. I needed to contact Oishi-san. At that moment I remembered. Besides the doctor, a manager had been called. It was easy to imagine that there was someone deeply involved in the incidents, judging from Rena and Mion's conversation. The ache in my chest caused by the gruesome deed I had done dissipated rapidly. It was not over yet. This place was no longer safe. Stay calm, Keiichi Maibara. It's not over yet. I needed to live long enough to tell the police of this incident. At that moment, I felt like I heard someone's voice from outside. Since people were speaking, it must mean there was more than one person. I moved the curtain ever so slightly and peered outside. It was a bizarre sight. About 4 or 5 grown men were all gathered at the gate. They were very much resembled the 2 men who had assaulted me at the dam site today. Those 2 might even be among them. There was one person wearing a white coat, but he didn't look like a doctor at all. My gut told me he was in disguise, only posing as a doctor. That guy would probably ring the bell and get me to open the front door. Pretend to be a doctor and get me to open the door, and the rest of them would all rush in at once. At that moment I saw the car parked behind the man, and my heart nearly skipped a beat. Who was it? The white van! No mistaking it. That van, the one that had tried to run me down? The man in the white coat entered the gate and headed towards the front door. The rest of the men hid in the bushes and watched him. I probably couldn't pretend that I wasn't home. Undoubtedly, they just break the windows and enter. I needed to get out of here somehow. Then using a public phone to contact Oishi-san. Then meet up somewhere. First of all, I need a weapon. Then shoes. Before all that, there was one thing that I had to do. I had no intention of dying. I'd live and reveal the truth about this nonsensical curse for Ishiro-sama. But what would happen from here on, regardless of how determined I was, may bring about my demise. And that was why. There was one thing more important than getting out of here right now. I need to get that clock out and quickly take down the note pin behind it. Damn it. The tape was sticking to it fast. It'd be fine if it was torn a little. I opened it up, slightly torn note, and began writing another passage with the ballpoint pen. If I wasn't able to inform Oishi-san, then the only thing I could rely on was this note. I'd never thought a piece torn college-ruled notebook would be this reliable before. I had no time. I'd only write what I knew right now. I needed to leave some sort of information that would lead them to uncover the truth. Ren and Mion are conspirators with the perpetrators. This was an undeniable fact. And I still didn't want to believe it. But it was fact. Anyway, I'd leave all this information that would help lead them to finding the perpetrators. There are 4 or 5 adults, maybe more. They have a white van. This was everything I was able to see from the window. There may be more. Also, there was an unidentified person known as the manager. To begin with, the term manager didn't even mesh with Hinamizawa well. If they were going to include the managers from the past incidents, then the only one in the construction foreman is the construction foreman, the victim from the first murder. The very first victim in the chain of incidents. Kills in a lynching, his body divided into pieces. His right arm was never discovered. The police should have confirmed that death. But Renan and Mion called him manager. They said manager. They wouldn't use that term to refer to someone who was dead. The police would never even conceive that someone who was deceased could be involved. Could it be that some sort of oversight? I didn't know. But even if I didn't know, it could be a big hint for Oishi-san. That's right. They needed to start fresh from the first incident. It wasn't just a simple dismemberment, but the start of this string of mysterious deaths that would follow, so then there must be something hidden there. Please reinvestigate the victim from the dismemberment incident. He's alive. His death should have been established after an autopsy. Logically, you would think as much. But was that really the case? Could it have been some sort of ploy that they were able to deceive the police with? I shouldn't jump to conclusions. But he may still be alive. I had no time to ponder that right now. Oh yeah. There was something even more important I needed to write. Tomitake's death was from an unknown drug. That's right. That drug was an irreplaceable piece of evidence. And no doubt, just having this, everyone would be uncovered. I couldn't just leave the vital clue lying on the floor. This syringe is proof. Writing that down, I stuck the syringe into the back of the clock with plenty of tape. So it would absolutely not slip away and fall to the floor firmly. That scared the shit out of me. Oh my god! The bell rang. They were here. I couldn't write anymore. But even still, there was one last thing I had to write. I have no idea why I'd become like this. This may be the closest thing to the truth out of everything I wrote on this note. If you are reading this, then I'm probably already dead. Though you may or may not find my body. If I was going to write out everything that could happen, either dying from the curse, or being demoned away, you who are reading this, please uncover the truth. This is my only desire. With this, my last will and testament was complete. It wasn't certain that I was going to die, but it was my final plea, just in case. I folded the note, stuck it back onto the back of the clock, and returned the clock back to the usual spot. I couldn't help but pray. Oishi-san, if something happens to me, I leave the rest to you. After that, I gazed down slightly at Rena and Mion. This was probably the last time we'd ever see each other. Rena, Mion, I really had thought all of us were friends. Ah, but why did it end up like this? I'm about to tear up. I never had any fun in my previous school. I only worried about standardized test scores, about if the school I hoped to get into was where I really wanted to go, or a safety net. That was all I talked about. It was a dull life. The people I called friends were also my rivals in studying, in competitions and personal records, and in standardized test scores. Everyone here taught me how unhealthy lifestyle was. This month was really fun. Making a fuss over lunch, making a fuss over club, making a fuss over the festival. Something hot began dripping from my face. Uncontrollable tears. I should have had no obligation to shed tears for them. But they wouldn't stop. Even if they were after my life. Even if they were trying to kill me. Even everything that happened to this month, I wouldn't forget it. Or could it be those happy days were all a facade as well? Was it all a trap? Meticulously orchestrated up until today to ensnare me? Could it have been that I just arbitrarily assumed they were my friends? That couldn't have been the case. Both Rena and Mion, they were really my friends. Those happy days, there were nothing fake or unclear about them. Someone probably forced them to try and kill me. Or their minds were taking over, possessed by that supernatural entity known as Oyashiro-sama. Regardless, both Renan and Mion, they were the best friends ever. And they were coming after me. It wasn't of their own volition. Wait, well, they weren't the kind of people to sell off their friends, regardless of whether or not they were forced. There was no way such a thing like possessed by Oyashiro-sama could happen in reality. Then did the real Rena and Mion come after me? What was I thinking? What a silly, dumb idea. Having beaten down both Rena and Mion, I was still debating if they were the real ones or fakes. There was no real or fake, only the reality that was before me. Rena and Mion were sprawled out at my feet. That was the only truth. I was only trying to twist the facts to my benefit, that I had beaten my friends to death. No matter how I spun it, it wouldn't change reality. Rena and Mion were both dead. It felt like there was a crack in the dam of strange emotions that I was holding back. It felt like my calm state, which was nothing more than a bluff, had receded. In that opening, insanity was leaking out. I killed them. I killed them. Rena and Mion. I killed them. Oh, doorbell rang again. The unrelated echo pulled me back into a state of composure once again. I didn't have a moment to spare. Quickly, I needed to get away. I didn't want to die. I would uncover everything after that. The identity of whoever happened to push me this far. Even if I had to drink mud and eat grass, I would survive. I would survive. I would definitely survive. I killed Rena for that very reason. I also killed Mion. I went that far just to keep living. So I can't die. For my sake, and for the sake of the late Rena and Mion. I have to survive. Wow, we've lost our shit. I ran towards the door and grabbed my shoes. The doorbell rang again, as if to urge me on. Behind this single solitary door, they were there. Keeping quiet, I headed towards the kitchen, heading towards the back door. Before opening the back door, I put my ear to it and checked for people outside. No one. After I put on my shoes, I opened the door slowly, as to not make a sound. They're there, aren't they? There he is, the back door! A piercing voice echoed out. That voice stabbed through me, setting my hair on end. I had to run. Get out of here, Keiichi! One after the other, I felt stuff like rationale and intelligence, those things you use when you have time to spare, spill out of me. I didn't feel any pain from the branches sticking, scratching my arms or forehead. My autonomy pulsing heart was also felt neither fatigue nor pain. My entire being just wished to live. There was nothing else it desired. It probably had no complaints whatsoever. So of course it wouldn't feel fatigue. I just ran. Just recklessly running in the direction I was already heading. Even if nobody was chasing after me, I'd still be running like this. There wasn't a thought in my mind about where I was heading. Turning around, I felt a presence right next to me. That presence was, without a doubt, chasing me like my shadow. If I even took one misstep, I would be devoured. That's what I thought. So I didn't turn around. I didn't stop. I ran. At full speed. Quack, 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 quack. That was the chirping of the Higurashi, telling me it was evening. Trying to tell me something, and then I finally heard it. The wailing cry of the victims who didn't make it. Would I be joining them? Quack, 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 quack. Only the Higurashi knew. They knew everything. They definitely knew. Holy shit, we've lost our senses. So I ran towards where I could hear more of the Higurashi's chirps. But the farther I ran, the farther their chirping became. I couldn't get near them. Why are you all running away? Was it my fault? Was I the one to blame? Then I'll apologize. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh, we've lost our shit. I felt that only the Higurashi knew. Wow. Maybe that's the end of the chapter? It's almost 2 hours, dude. This is insane. Oh shit, we're still going! The smoking room was filled with a cloud of cigarette smoke. The expensive smoke filter gave off some crackling electric noise, but it didn't seem like it was doing anything at all. Why do smokers have to be shoved so far down this corridor where the sun didn't even reach? I recall hearing that tax revenue from tobacco was about the tenth of the municipality revenue. We were the most heavily taxed members of this municipality, so I really wish they'd show us a little more respect. Why would you discard 5 manzu there? It's just decreasing your options. One of the younger detectives was having a staring contest with the mahjong magazine called Next Turn. You're still in Tenpai if you cut the manzu 5 manzu. If you're betting on a high tay, then you should be able going in with a mangan. Kuma-chan, look at the pond. They all discarded 5 manzu. It's a safe tile. You'd hate it if at the end of the game someone was sitting on a tenpai in the last turn, wouldn't you? The kid let out another groan, putting his secret out and took out another one. I just don't agree. Why would you reduce your own options? By the way, you can't call it Ron with your winning in that tile in that high tie day. What? Why is that? Just then I heard a voice coming from down the hall. Are you here, Oishi-san? You have a call from a civilian. Whoa, ain't that something? Well, see you soon. Why can't you run on it? Hold on for a second, Oishi-san. The man sitting on the seat, Oishi-san, was heading towards waves at the telephone receiver. Outside line from a payphone. Oh, why thank you. Sorry to keep you waiting. This is Oishi. Who is it? Oishi-san. Hello? If it isn't Maibara-san. Why, good evening. From that tone, Maibara-san's voice, Maibara-kun's voice, I already knew he was in a predicament. This was the first time Maibara-kun had phoned me. And he was calling from a payphone. Please calm down. Did something happen? Well... His voice was erratic over the line. He had completely lost his sense of composure. After checking that nobody could hear, I prompted him in a hushed tone. What happened? Calm down, Maibara-san. I can have the local officers head to your location. I'll be there soon, too. I think that's impossible. His voice was quivering and hoarse. He wasn't surrounded by people even as he was making his call, was he? Maibara-san, you're calling from a payphone right now, right? Where's that payphone? There was no other sounds beside Maibara-kun's voice. It had to be a phone booth. It scratched out a note and thrust at my colleague sitting across from me. Hinamizawa, phone booth. He understood quickly and hastily started on the internal lines. Calm down, Maibara-san. What is your current situation? Unusually, it was a good idea to tell someone's panicking to do so, but it was not a usual case. Maibara-kun didn't just get involved in trouble, get away, and then call me. He was in the midst of something dangerous right now. But yelling at Maibara-kun would just needlessly cause him to be even more frantic. Maibara-kun wasn't just calling to seek help. He was trying to tell us something more than that. And whatever that was, if I don't get from this call, I was certain there'd never be another chance. My colleague pushed a note in front of me. There's only one booth in Hinamizawa. A patrol car is on the way. 5 minutes. That's too long. How many officers are there? 2. Not enough. If it was as I was imagined, there was likely quite a few people surrounding Maibara-kun. 5 more minutes is too long. Did you call the officer stationed in Hinamizawa? He's scheduled to be on patrol. They're currently out, and it'll be impossible to contact them. God damn. Kuma-chan, bring the car around. Understood. Hello? Oishi-san? Hello? It's alright. I can hear you loud and clear. There was something wrong with Maibara-kun. That wasn't a normal coughing sound. Vomiting? Or was it blood? Has he already been attacked? Was he injured? Maibara-san, the police are on their way. They'll be in there a couple of minutes, so hold on somehow. Hello? Can you hear me? Maibara-san. I could hear on the other end of the line that he was having a coughing fit. 1 second, I'm just gonna drink a little bit because my throat's hella dry. I wanted to get water. I didn't expect this to go for over 2 hours, almost 2 hours. Okay. The worst possible situation popped in my head. Maibara-san! Who is the culprit? How many are there? I thought at first the culprit was human. I couldn't tell if it was cough or vomiting. Are you alright, Maibara-san? I thought that the culprit was a person and not Oyashiro-sama's curse. Up until right now. But I guess in the end, it was an intense bout of coughing, then vomiting. But I guess Oyashiro-sama does exist. No, he's here. Oh god, I just got so spooked. Maibara-san, please just calm down. I had been thinking it was strange for a while now. It's been following me this whole time. I run and run and run and run, but it just sticks to me like my shadow. But slowly, so slowly, it's digging itself into my back. Maibara-san, are they right now, perhaps? Right behind you? Behind me. Right behind me. Please, Maibara-san. I can tell you're scared. But please, who is it that's right behind you? I can't just look behind me. If I do, well, I understand that you're scared. But please tell me. You just need to turn around a bit. Who is it? Who's behind you, Maibara-san? Right after I said that, I could hear him vomiting intensely. What followed was a nightmare sound. Maibara-san, it couldn't be that you're clawing out your own throat? There was no answer. But I could hear something like scratching. There was a bang as if something was being hit. Maibara-san had probably dropped the receiver. I could hear groaning and vomiting all over them the other end and repeating abnormal noise. Hello? Hello? Maibara-san! Hello? Uh-oh. We killed ourselves too, even without the drug? I knew how far away my voice would sound on the other end, but I couldn't help but shout. At that moment I heard whispering coming from the other end. I couldn't tell what he was saying. From the way he was saying it, he was talking to himself? Or was he talking to someone there? Hello? Maibara-san? Rather than whispering, it was some kind of mantra he was chanting over and over. I focused my senses trying to pick up what he was saying. What was he repeating? What exactly? I'm so scared. Beep. Suddenly the line went dead. Did he use up his time? It was because he used a payphone. It was because it cut out so abruptly. The last thing he said came out so clearly in my mind. Oishi-san, the car's good to go. Oishi-san, I'm sorry. Oishi-san, that was what he was repeating over and over. He said, I'm sorry. I had a gut feeling. There was no longer a need to hurry. I could hear the chirp of the Higurashi spilling in from the open window. Queak, 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 queak. I should have been able to hear them this entire time. I wasn't paying attention. Why did I focus on them all of a sudden? Queak, 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 queak. Were they trying to tell me something? Or only the Higurashi knew? That's how I felt. When the Higurashi cried, dude. July 1983. In Hinamizawa, a remote village near Shinchibone City, there was a murder involving 2 female students. The suspect is Keiichi Maibara, age 1X. 1 times old. The suspect called over his 2 female classmates. Ran Ryugu and Mion Konozaki to his house and beat them to death with a metal bat. What? This is what the police think? The scene of the crime was the suspect's room on the 2nd floor of his house. The inside of the room was covered with a significant quantity of splattered blood, and there were signs of struggles with the victims. In addition to the scene of the crime, the entryway, living room, and kitchen all had traces of a struggle. At the entryway, the shoe rack and wall had evidence of being impaled by a strong blunt force. It is believed to have been the same bat as the murder weapon. Having no traces of blood, it's believed the destruction occurred before the murders. There is possibility that the suspect overpowered his victims to keep them from fleeing. They think it was me? In the living room, the rug had been pulled back, then thrown aside. It is hard to believe that this had a connection to the struggle with the victims, and thus the reason for this remains unknown. In the kitchen, the garbage bag was torn apart, and its contents were spread out on the floor. Garbage was strewn about in a surrounding area, and handprints believed to belong to the suspect were discovered. It is believed that the suspect had, for some reason, taken out the garbage and struck it with his fists. They think we're crazy? The reason for this remains unknown. What? What the fuck? In addition, there was a note stuck to the fridge. The words, "Was there a needle?" were written on it. The meaning behind this remains unclear. Just in case, the garbage was searched, but the needle was not discovered. Though the garage door was functional, it had been left open ever since the suspect moved in. The garage door was found closed. The suspect's fingerprints were discovered on the garage door. The reason behind this remains unknown. What the hell? The suspect fled the scene of the crime. However, a patrolling officer, Hinamizawa local PD, found the suspect collapsed inside a phone booth. At the time of discovery, the suspect was unconscious in critical condition. He was rushed to the local hospital for treatment, but he did not regain consciousness and died 24 hours later. The result of this autopsy indicate the immediate cause of death had to be hypovolemic shock. It was determined that the suspect had clawed his own throat with his fingernails, and the resulting bleeding caused his death. What about the clock? With the similarity to the death of Tomitaka-san the prior of the week, the police believe there to be a connection and have opened an investigation. However, due to the wishes of the local authorities, it will be a confidential investigation. Due to the abnormal nature of the death, it was suspected that drugs were involved, but as with Tomitaka-san, no traces were discovered. What prompted all this remains inexplicable. As such, the case is being treated as an act committed on impulse. However, with several accounts of the suspect's bizarre behavior leading up to the incident, it is possible that this was premeditated. What the hell? Separated from this group of friends, isolation, inexplicable behavior. Several days before the incident, the suspect began carrying around a metal bat. The suspect was observed displaying aggressive behavior as well as talking to himself at school. His classmates were actually heard portions of what he was saying. 2 days before the incident, the suspect declared to his parents the possibility of his death. Due to these circumstances, the police have begun an investigation on the possibility that this crime was not committed on impulse, but was instead planned several days in advance. What? They think we're crazy. They think we did it. Afterwards, a note was found in the suspect's room that he had written himself. Yes, the notes. The note was written in 2 sheets from the B5 college-ruled notebook that had each been torn in half, as if trying to conceal it was stuck in behind the clock on the wall. What about the syringe? The context was written in the appendix. The police believed to be strongly related to the incident. The police changed their line of investigation based on the possibility that the suspect was involved in some sort of incident himself. However, no further clues were found, casting down the credibility of the note. Was the crime impulsive or premeditated? With the situation unclear, no further developments, the case has been labeled as unresolved. What about the syringe? However, the following year, suspicion arose regarding the nature of the note. The note was not written on 2 halves of B5 paper from 2 separate sheets, but it was originally a single sheet of B5 paper. In order to erase several lines in the middle, someone had torn them out. Judging from the size of the letters, the missing section is estimated to be 2-3 lines. It is highly probable that the person who eliminated the lines in question is not the suspect. In addition, judging from the trace of large quantities, the telephone tape had been stuck to the back of the clock, speculated that something other than the note was stuck there has arisen. The person who discovered the crime scene was a detective rumored to have connection with the incident, Kurao Oishi. He underwent voluntary questioning, but denies any involvement in any damages to the note. So, our note was stolen, the piece of the note was stolen, and the syringe too! The suspect's note. I, Keiichi Mabara, am in fear for my life. I do not know why they are after my life. The only thing I do know is that it had to do with Oyashiro-sama's curse. The Ren and Mion are conspirators of the perpetrators. There are 4 or 5 adults, maybe more. They have a white van. This is all on the first sheet. Everything below has been ripped out. This is from the second sheet. Everything above this has been ripped out. I have no idea why it has become like this. If you are reading this, then I'm probably already dead. Although the only difference may be the presence of lack of a body. You who are reading this, please uncover the truth. That is my only desire. Keiichi Maibara. So the part about the syringe was taken out! Is that? A new scenario has been unlocked. All cast review sessions have been available. To play it, select Extra on the menu and click all cast review sessions. What? Wait, okay. Where's my fucking mouse? There it is. Extra. All cast review session. I'm not satisfied. Alright, so I just recorded a bit part of the scenario thing, but I'm going to cut that out and put it in a separate video and then record the rest of it because I'm literally almost out of space on my computer. So I'll record that another day. But this is basically the end of the main story of Higurashi, When They Cry, Onikakushi. Thank you guys for watching. There was no credit scene, but it was really, really, really weird, really scary, really fun. So, if you guys want to see me do the other Higurashi games, I might. I'll think about it. This was very fun. By the time this is out, there's a new light novel or new visual novel I started on this channel. So that is priority. But if you guys really want to see this game again, let me know and I'll do it because what you guys want to see, I'll do considering especially it's a game that I kind of want to see too. So thank you guys for watching. We're watching the series all throughout it. Skylight Fifth may be out. See you guys next time.